This is the part-time gamer back again with a review of Endless Ocean for the Wii. This is a game that's certainly not for everyone, but if you like exploring and you like scuba diving and you like sea animals, it's a pretty nice game to have. It's pretty relaxing too. Basically you're running around and doing some various missions for people, but basically the point of the game is to find as much sea life as you can and I guess make friends with them, and eventually there's kind of a plot, but it's not too major. You're supposed to find the whales in the area. This is the overworld hub, I suppose. You move with the pointer, you can walk around with B. First I have to talk to her, that's the other main character in the game. She pretty much moves along the plot. Here you can pass time. Places are different at night and day, so that's why you do that. You train dolphins that you find and befriend here. That's where you move the boat. And occasionally there'll be wildlife that just kind of show up here. Here's how wildlife works. This also works underwater. Click on it. If you hold A and move the remote, you can rub, you can poke. That's the information it says about it. There's 3 levels of information. The better you get to know an animal, the more information you'll know. Looks like that's something else up there. What is that? Japanese cormorants. That's the main overworld. But the biggest part of the game is obviously underwater, scuba diving. You go in here, pilot the boat with the wheel, and you choose any of the variety of places on the map. You can go anywhere you want, but that blue and orange circle is all the area you can explore at once. We'll go ahead and go to Coral Forest, just to show it off. This is one of the earliest areas in the game that you explore. It's nothing too crazy. If you hit the control pad, you can get options including dive. You can choose a dolphin to dive with, and I'll choose Turk, the bottlenose. Why not? While the load screen happens, you can choose from any number of songs. I'm going to go ahead and just choose the basic one, so that it's not too distracting. There's nooks and crannies all over the world, full of interesting animals and things to find, like treasure. Some of these treasures eventually open up new areas, some help solve the plot's mystery. Here we are on Coral Forest. Press B to swim, A to poke things. Looks like there's some fish down here. Some powder blue tang. Those little sparkles mean they like you. Control pad gives you certain options like camera, you can take pictures. There's underwater whistle, which dolphins like, and apparently that fish. You can also feed them. There's a dolphin checking out the fish. There's a big cave down here, which I think is called Blue Holes. Or, no, excuse me. Gem chest, below it, whatever. Some tiny fish. There's also sharks and whales and sea lions and all sorts of things to find in this game. It's a really nice one if you just like exploring around the world map. You definitely waste a lot of time doing that. This is one of the earlier places in the game, so there's not too many interesting things here. A lot of fish. This game has all sorts of environments in it. There's ocean chasms, there's coral reefs like this. There's open ocean areas where you can find marlin and other big fish like that. There's sunken ships. There's underwater ruins. There's deep water drop-offs where you can find things like the blue whale. underwater caves. There's all sorts of different environments. Obviously it's not a very realistic Pacific Ocean island, but that's okay. We want to see as many animals as we want, and in as many places as we want. Let's see if we can find anything big, like sharks or anything like that. Got a bicolored parrotfish right here. Should probably follow us now. Some fish, if they like you enough, after you poke them, they'll just kind of follow you around, which is cool. You can also take diving missions where you can take customers down and show them different worlds. They're always going to want to see a specific kind of fish, so it's your job to go find it for them. I believe the special fish here is some sort of very large parrotfish. I usually have a little bit of trouble finding him. If you press the minus button, you can do a continuous swim. One gets you the map, shows you where we can go, where you've gone. I know as someone who's been scuba diving in the wild before, it does give you that feeling of scuba diving. Obviously in the wild there's not this, there's usually not this many fish, and especially not this huge abundance of megafauna, as we call them, sharks and whales and all that. But we want to see more whales. I don't believe there's really an underwater time limit, at least not a realistic one. Some scuba dives, depending on how deep you go, you can only go like 20 minutes, but here you can pretty much explore as much area as you want and then come back to the boat. When you're back on the boat, you can develop photos and sell them and get new equipment and things like that. This is the first place you find in the game, and I believe there's a manta ray in here somewhere. Where'd he go? There's supposed to be a manta ray in the lagoon. Has he disappeared? Maybe he's not here this time of day. If you press 2, you can go into another viewpoint, which is nice. You can keep running into things. Looks like the manta ray isn't here today, which is unfortunate. That's basically the gist of the game. You're just pretty much trying to find as much areas as you can. The overworld map does have some secret areas in them that transport you to other places. For example, a very deep water chasm where you can find things like the sperm whale or megamouth sharks, and an underwater cave where you can find, I believe, a false killer whale. There's also a ghost ship, which occasionally shows up around the map. If you get in that, you can go to a place where you can find great white sharks. Here's the big thing in the Coral Fortress, the humphead wrasse, which is a pretty big fish in real life. It's pretty big in this game too. Looks like we found him. See if we can find any sharks while we're at it. There's talk about a sequel to this game. Apparently it was successful enough in order to make a sequel. Sounds like they're doing some freshwater areas for the sequel, which would be pretty cool. Not sure what else they're going to do. There's some talk about it on places like IGN. Hopefully we'll see more multiplayer content. Or just, longer game. Heading towards the triple steps. One of the early areas in the game. So it's not a hardcore game, but it's one I recommend for someone who likes ocean life or just likes a relaxing, cheap game. You can find these for $30 or $20.